What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HeroesHearth Warcraft 3 Fight Night. My name's Kendric, and I'm really excited to welcome you back because we have a stacked roster going on today, guys. It's a human versus night elf. Currently, although I'm playing neither of those races very well, is my favorite matchup. As an undead for life, I have to admit, Grubby, that there's a lot of cool matches happening between those two races at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear me okay, by the way? Just testing.
Everything good.
Yeah, this is, I think Human Elf has always been one of the best matchups. And I was just checking up the interviews that you did with both. It was really nice to see that both of them, very nice, great interviews. They're great guys. And you did a good job. Both of them said that they found the other guy's race difficult. So that was interesting. And I saw that glint in your eye, like, if only you knew that Neytpoh said the same thing about yours. So I do think this is a great matchup to watch games in of equally skilled players. And whether that's the case, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and of course, guys, the format is somewhat of a king of the hill. So we have our two-time champion, Neutron, coming in hot and heavy the heavy favorite. Excuse me?
Isn't he 3 times champion?
He beat 2 opponents. Okay, so technically speaking, it's his 3rd time today. So,
didn't he beat 2 people? Or
yeah, so he beat Ente.
Yeah, Ente, Spiral, and Noth.
Oh, whoa! He's actually 3 times champion. You're right. I totally forgot about Noth. How could I?
You said that in the interview too, but I'm sure you had a stream today and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Probably.
He's trying to get his 4th time champion here in Deathnote. And
That's true.
Besides Night Elf Mirror, he will have covered every matchup.
Yeah.
Maybe if he wins this, we find him a mirror. It could be the first mirror of the fight night. But if not, it's going to be Deathnote that will start running with this a bit.
Yeah, very true. And you said it very well, Grubby. I mean, Neutron at this point has proven that he's really versatile and really well-versed in every matchup. You know, we had an undead, couldn't really beat him. We had 2 orcs trying in a row to dethrone him. They both failed. One more so than the other, which was a very nice twist as well. Knopf, 2 weeks ago, guys, has shown some really immaculate play. And if you haven't watched the VOD, you can very much do so on our YouTube channel, I almost said Twitch here, youtube.com, and there you basically look for HeroesHearth Warcraft 3. You can't really miss it. I'm pretty sure one of our lovely mods in the chat is also going to provide you with a link right there. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about this matchup too, guys. It's a Russian derby, if you will, both players from a traditionally very strong Warcraft 3 nation. And we talked to Neutron. He was not really having a grudge against Deathnote, but he said he would really like to play versus him because these guys have faced each other many times, and there's been some more or less friendly banter going on. You know, when Deathnote won, he said, you know, it's just lucky, and then in the interview, Deathnote also called Neutron a Patchtron, you know, so it's a nice rivalry between the two that is going to be settled once and for all, at least for the time being for now.
Yeah, Kendric, in the interview with Deathnote, Deathnote had some choice words for Neutron and for how Neutron played at the start of this year in patch 130. He's like, he heard Neutron say that human is hard, and he's like, oh, you can't play with Keeper anymore and entangle everything in sight and kill it all, and you don't have like an immediate super big lead anymore. Oh, it's so difficult for you, Patchtron. So there have been some choice words. There is, of course, a lot of rivalry between 2 players from the same country that are typically going to be running into qualifiers, being gated by one of the players towards the others, and so on. So really cool to see. We think Deathnote is the underdog coming in here.
Yeah.
When we announced the Deathnote as the new challenger in my stream, people were like, okay, 3-0 Neytpoh, 3-1 Neytpoh.
That's what they said about Knopf too, though.
That's what they said about Knopf too. And so the players are almost ready, and we're going to be starting soon. But just finally, before we start with this, the rules of the engagement, Kendric.
Yeah. So we have a best of 5. So whoever wins 3 games first takes the victory. And then the victor, of course, also will either become or remain the champion of the Warcraft 3 Fight Night here in HeroesHearth. And that, of course, means that the winner walks away home with $200. The loser still gets 100, so nobody walks home empty-handed. And there's also the bounty that needs to be displayed, of course. We have the bounty board down below. You can see it. Some generous people have already contributed to it. Very, very thankful for that, guys. Keep it up. The great support. A large portion, the lion's share of it, goes right into the player's prize pool. The production crew walks away with a little bit of something extra too. So feel free to keep it up, guys. Thank you very much for your support, as always.
And the game has started. Nice explanation there, Kendric. $100 and more to play for when you consider the bounty and the future potential winnings. And our game is underway. The first map is going to be Terenas stand with Deathnote in the blue spawning in the bottom right. And Neytpoh in the top left spawning as the red Night Elf player who plays his first Ancient of War near the mercenary camp.
That is true. Terenas stand, of course, is a map that's really well designed for Night Elf versus Human these days, Grubby, right? We see so many matchups on this map in particular because neither of the players, neither of the races really wants to ban it because it's kind of good for all of them.
Correct. This is traditionally a great Human and Night Elf map. The map has seen some changes. The laboratories used to be in the corners. Now they're in the east and the west side. But it is still a map with four bridges, which makes it a defensive map. There's a nice cubby hole for the expansions that allows people to play defensively. And Night Elf and Human are the most prevalent macro races, where you take a quick expansion and then you try to leverage the bonus gold to your advantage. And Neytpoh has decided to open up with a Warden, and Deathnote has opened up with Mountain King.
That is the dream setup, Grubby. I think we've seen many players really rely on these carry heroes, that become very strong as levels trickle in. And it's oftentimes the duel, like who can get stronger faster, who's got the better items, and whose hero control is better. Because both heroes have these weapons to take out other heroes, Then the Warden, of course, oftentimes plays solo, trying to rush for the Avatar as fast as possible, which oftentimes is GG by itself. The Mountain King still strong. We all know the Stormbolt clap combo that is so powerful. So it's always a nail-biter between those two carry heroes, I feel.
Now let's talk about a few things we have seen recently in the pro meta. We've seen Warden on this map. I believe it was Lal Lyot. Oh, is he gonna... Oh, wow, he used Fan of Knives to finish everything. That was super close. Very nicely done by Neutron. But we have seen Warden first on this map, reaching level 6 and getting nothing out of Avatar. You mentioned it's often a win condition, and you're 100% right. It almost always is. But how could the Avatar from Warden do nothing? Well, the opponent didn't have any ground units. You can't summon those little vengeance spirits if there are no corpses. The Human in this case went for 3 Aviary Masked Dragonhawks. A ludicrous concept, seemingly, against Warden and Dryads. But it worked. There were no bodies to deal with. It was a bit harder to focus them down with the Dryads. So that's something we've seen. But really, what we need to point out here is Mountain King against Warden in the early game, Kendric.
Yeah.
Warden typically bullies Archmage players, kills peasants, kills Archmage, and so on. Mountain King prefers to be up against either Keeper or Warden. Demon Hunter is kind of his natural enemy because he relies so heavily on mana. But against Warden, he does very well, actually. If you get Blood Mage second. If you run Archmage second, it can be a little tough for him to deal with her because her mana pool can be an issue. But with Siphon Mana second, that can be good. However, Deathnote is going for an early expansion. He's going to get MK3, and then he's going to have to deal with a very buffed up Warden.
Yeah. Both heroes actually, Grubby, running with a really strong inventory, respectively. See the Mountain King with plenty of mana, +6 intelligence with 2 mantles. Both heroes have a greater healing. Very nice for early skirmish, but the Warden is turning it up with the damage, Grubby. 2 slippers and 2 claws. It couldn't have gone any better.
Well, okay, here's
maybe
the thing.
A little bit, because he's not a fighter that much. Maybe for the Demon Hunter, that would have been insane.
That's true. Warden is an agility hero, so she has high attack speed, high armor class, and good damage. But still, she gets more intelligence, and she has a lower natural attack rate. She gets more intelligence per level, so she doesn't actually end up being like the best ninja, the best fighter, the best samurai. So these items, they look really synergistic for Warden, but really what she's looking for is Mantle of Intelligence, Greater Mana Pot.
Okay, goes in with a blink.
Stormbolt hits.
So much damage. Level 3 Warden has to pop the greater healing already because it was by no means safe that she would escape this Mountain King alive without doing so, because he definitely had enough mana for another Stormbolt. But now she's back in tip-top fighting condition, unleashing a flurry of knives here onto several workers, and that is exactly what the Warden is designed to do in the early game. When there's peasants, when there's militias nearby, trying to build up the fast expo, delay it as much as possible, get some free XP, and cripple the economy of that potential second base. The Priest, also in a lot of trouble, is likely going to fall here. The Mountain King, with plenty of mana still, could actually use a Stormbolt on the Priest to kill it quicker, or save it for the Warden, who's still somewhat surrounded by human units.
Yeah, so Warden showed Shadow Strike and Fan of Knives. He knows she has no blink, so he feels confident casting Stormbolt. He doesn't do a block on the Warden, neither is Surround, so she's going to be able to get away, check the mana of the MK, and wait! How does he have blink? Can you see the skill overlay? Is it 1/1/1?
It is 2-1.
Oh, he doesn't have Shadow Strike?
No Shadow Strike. It's Fan of Knives 2 and Blink 1.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw him Shadow Strike earlier on, my bad. But let's evaluate how that went. He killed, I believe, about 5 peasants.
Yep. I think one of the corpses might be a footman, but...
One might be a footman, one is Troll Priest, but it's all the way on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 4 peasants. That's a pretty decent result. It's nothing to write home about, as Deathnote will be able to replace them one at a time. And the big deal really here is that the Warden is
the Mountain King might get the Berserker too, though. Needs one more good attack or a Stormbolt. Doesn't have enough mana for the Stormbolt. Barely not enough with a low damage roll on the Troll. I don't think he gets him anymore. Now,
Warden is back. Fan of Knives on the footies.
True. A lot of AoE damage, and without the Mountain King, without the tower to be finished, I don't think she has to worry about a lot of things. She still has plenty of mana. Might even go for another Fan of Knives.
Oh,
not enough damage, though. Unlucky targeting.
Yeah, unlucky targeting. It generally goes for the closest targets. The footmen that were most hurt were furthest away. Good job by Deathnote. And then the Arcane Tower sapped away about 40 mana or so she doesn't have another fan. We'll go for the low-hanging fruits and take down the Arcane Vault. In the meantime, Mountain King is still auto-attacking the Troll Berserker.
Yeah.
Moonwells are empty. That was a bash. He needs about 10 more hits to kill the Berserker. Will the Warden be back on time? Warden is going in for the auto-attacks. This time, the good items are actually working out pretty well.
Yeah, and, Neutron might not be controlling the Troll Berserker right now, but he's certainly controlling the Warden quite well. Gets another kill, might even get 2 with another hurt peasant right there. The mana he doesn't really care about at the moment because he's not going to get it back anytime any soon, so he's trying to deal as much economic damage as possible. The Mountain King, by the way, not even thinking about going back, still fighting the Berserker, barely gets it now finally, but took so much damage with the Tree of Ages now also hitting him. Both heroes just really inclined to deal as much damage as possible. The Warden is surrounded and no more mana for a blink. What can she do to delay the inevitable for now? There is no Zeppelin nearby, not really to be done here. Has to use the TP or the Telestaff. Actually, very late triggering. Is there going to be enough damage? Oh my god, it was a 1 auto attack, but where did she go?
2 HP, he staffed to the bottom. Moonwell, the Mountain King hits the Stormbolt, but she TPs to block. Mountain King is right next to her. 1 hit and the heal pot comes in and the Warden survives.
Wow. What a fiery start. The Mountain King actually reigning supreme and holding his own in the Night Elven base and also dealing terrible damage onto the Warden, who just came back with what seemed like 2 HP. A very dramatic start, but the most important thing to keep in mind is that the human expansion is still standing despite all the harassment, and the Warden took a crippling blow, had to invest a lot in order to get to safety, the TP scroll and the TP staff. So what is Neutron going to do to recover for now? Actually, TP staff also used from the Mountain King now.
This could be a big Fan of Knives, Kendric. She's coming in, but the bolt to stop her immediately. Now he can cycle away the low footies, and he does so. That footie stays alive with 3 HP. Neytpoh gets nothing for his trouble, and the Mountain King has a heal scroll. He can go to the Arcane Vault if he turns around and heals everything.
Oh, the
Warden!
Uses the TP or the short blink to get to safety. Very nicely done here, but the slow still persists.
Do that again?
A lucky bash. Oh my god, here comes the bash. Oh my god, with the blink. These two players are literally bashing the heads in the first couple of minutes of the game. It couldn't be any closer. Oh my goodness.
All right, in the meantime, Neytpoh has gone for a set of 4 Dryads, which I find a curious choice, to be honest, because Dryads counter water elementals, but there is a Mountain King here, so the question is, does he really need 4 Dryads right now? Any StarCraft 2 players here? Some of you may know the Zerg mass roaches. That's the equivalent of Dryads. They're supply thick, but they're kind of inefficient, and they become obsolete against higher tech units. It's bears that you want, but Dryads that you need. In this case, he doesn't really need them in a sense, except to stop an early footman and mercenary attack. The thing is, though, Deathnote is coming with a heal scroll, and his footmen have an upgraded defend ability, which makes them extremely effective against dryads who do piercing damage.
And Grubby also, Neutron lost an archer there to the creeps, not ideal. And also the HP on the Tree of Life is not where it should be against such a heavy attack with a lot of normal damage coming from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 footies. The Golem and the Mountain King also reinforcing this army. Of course, the one wisp that he has is desperately trying to defend it. Here goes the Warden, goes in, takes a Stormbolt to the face immediately, though. Has only 1 mana potion, no healing, no escape whatsoever. And these footmen, as you said, with a shield upgrade, are exceptionally resilient against the piercing damage from the Dryads. Here comes the Bear, though. This Druid of the Claw could be the turning point for this Night Elven defense here. The rejuvenation, so important to keep the main hero alive.
Dryad. He took down a Dryad. There is no mana for a mana pot. Now there is. Is he gonna do it? No. He decides not to Fan of Knives the Footman with a parting kiss. And here's the thing. Bloodmage second.
Yeah.
Deathnote said he's been watching my replays, and I won 3-1 against Neytpoh recently with Human, as Neytpoh said in his interview. And I'm actually pleased to see that he's opening with MK, because I don't think I'm all that. And I do think that Neytpoh is a little weaker against Mountain King than he has shown against Archmage. So Deathnote, he had some time to practice this, and he's done it. Mountain King and Bloodmage are coming in here, and he's getting rifles and 2 Sanctum casters. I think this is very strong against Warden. The thing is, Neytpoh, his expansion is delayed, and that's about the most that Deathnote could do, because he didn't have enough to take down the trees, and he cannot out-micro the Dryads. But he really delayed the mining, so Neytpoh is on 40 food, Kendric.
Yeah. The supply is definitely not where Neutron wants it to be at this stage of the game, you know, with the human army getting bigger and bigger, the Mountain King now being reinforced.
He used Anti-Magic Potion, which is a 100 gold item, but I think he did it to pick up the Boots of Kel'Thalas.
Okay. Yeah, could have sold that, of course, but I don't think he had the time, actually, to go back home, because he wanted to blink over the river and deal some more economic damage onto the peasant line here. There's nothing these poor little critters can do. Another Fan of Knife causes 2 more victims. Does he have enough mana? No, uses the TP staff. That's fine. He also had a potion of mana. It's always nice to have this little emergency button, you know, with you as a warden to drop more fans if needed. Level 5 now because the army was separately creeping. Very nicely done here. But it looks like Deathnote is going for these feared pushes, you know, of a human. With towers, with peasants. Yep.
It's a really good timing, Kendrick, because he's 67 food.
Ivory
he delays Neytpoh's mining. There's no point to delay someone's mining and then wait till you're both 80 food. So he's doing a really lean early attack. Bloodmage only level 1, MK4, and I think it's absolutely the right call. This is too early for Neytpoh to defend. He's got a very strong warden, but his army is paltry compared to Deathnote's army. Here we go, the Tree of Life is going down, and it's down before the fight. This is huge. Deathnote is now fighting from a place of comfort. He goes in with the Siphon on the Panda, in come the Wisp. They remove all the mana, but the Mountain King and the Blood Mage can still reign supreme.
Yeah, and it's a naked Pandaren too, Grubby. No items on this fellow whatsoever. No protection. Needs to retreat immediately out of this fight because one more Stormbolt in this second hero of the Night of Neutron is likely going to fall. The anti-magic potion once again on the Warden protects it very nicely against magic damage. The Bears are trying their best to hold the front line, but you said it, Grubby. I don't think there's enough. The towers are ready. The guard towers now dealing terrible damage onto the unarmored Dryads, and I think Neutron has to evacuate this. The question is he going to go from bad to worse without an expansion? I don't think this tiny weeny army can recover at all.
No, tiny weeny armies don't do very well at all, Kendrick. Not that I would know. But Warden is level 5.1. She's far away from level 6, which is really a kind of win condition. And now Deathnote, with full temerity, is throwing down a Town Hall. He's throwing down the Gauntlet, and he's like, my base now. In the meantime, Mountain King can bash through Anti-Magic Shell. Nice blocks.
Oh, gets another one.
Fork. Another bash comes in. The Warden, 100 life.
Can we say the same about the Brewmaster, though, dropping dangerously low as well? The Mountain King, for now, gets a little bit of extra mana siphoned onto his household from his best buddy, the Blood Mage. Very nice synergy, of course, to pump that mana into the very thirsty Dwarf. So he always has those Stormbolts ready. So many bashes also raining through. The Rejuvenate coming in last second, but the human is trying to claim yet another base. Drops a hammer onto the face of Anaya Felgrove. So much damage being done. The Blood Mage almost having enough damage, and no, he has enough. The game is over. GG, and Deathnote, the challenger, coming in swinging furiously at the champion.
What a fantastic game here by Deathnote, and what a statement to lay down here in the first game against Neytpoh,
Wow.
who said this is going to be the easiest match I've had yet. In his interview, Deathnote shows an ability to learn. He prepared for this match, and he comes in with the MK Blood Mage, some fantastic decision making,
Yeah.
and comes in with the quick push. Great play by him, great economic play on this first map here on Terenas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a really wonky fight in the early game that, on the one hand, looked like the Mountain King was so close to getting the Warden, but even without killing her early, I think he dealt enough damage to really interrupt and disrupt Neutron's playstyle. You know, he never could get the creeping going, he never could get his fast expansion, or his second base, not really a fast expansion, going. It was easily interrupted, whereas he defended his own expansion, which was so important.
And as important as all the things that you just mentioned, Kendric, are, the things that didn't happen are also important. He never tried to bring all of his units across the map to cancel a Tree of Life that he did scout early. He said, that's okay, I'll deal with it later. He never lost all those footmen that dropped to so much life. He kept them behind in the base. So a lot of like good limiting their own damage that he could have taken. And that is very key when you're going up against a strong player that will punish those things.
By the way, guys, we have to give a major shout out to everybody that's contributed to the prize pool the bounty. You see it in the bottom, but one person in particular, Grubby, it's an old familiar face. It is Soviet, dropping 7,000 plus bits to single-handedly crush the 10k bounty goal. What an absolute legend.
A bit is a cent, so he just dropped $70 straight up, guys, making the bounty feel all warm and fuzzy. Thank you so much, dude. Sponsoring esports here and sponsoring the fight night and all the hard work that goes into preparing these. And of course, Deathnote or Neytpoh will be walking away with the lion's share of that with the bounty, so that's super, super cool. We've got the players ready, so we're going to be launching. The next map is Northern Isles, which was Neytpoh's go-to if he were to lose the first map. Not sure he expected that, though, Kendric.
I don't think he expected it, and I hate to say it, Grubby, I don't think it was a very close game. It was it was over relatively quickly. I think Deathnote looked strong from start to finish. So let's see what the 4-time champion can do now. Neutron coming in hot and heavy. Is his moment? 3-time champion. There we go.
Aspiring 4-time champion.
Eventually, I'm gonna get the number right. Something we probably have to mention too, Grubby, is maybe one of the reasons why Deathnote is looking so strong recently is that he told us in his interview before the match started that he was going to ask some strong players on NetEase to practice this particular matchup with him. He mentioned names such as Foggy and Colorful, and if he really gets these high caliber players to practice, I think Neutron is in for one hell of a fight today.
It depends, right? It's a great starting point to practice with those guys, but it can sap your confidence as easily as it can boost your skill. If you go 0-10, you go in and you come dragging the tail between your legs as you go into this match. But if you do well, or if you start off poorly and then you start doing better because you have the potential to improve, then it's a fantastic resource to have players of the caliber of Foggy and Colorful help you prepare. It's invaluable, really, and it warmly makes me remember every time someone went above and beyond to help me prepare for a tournament.
Yeah.
This kind of wingman support, and sometimes it really helps themselves because they have a competition too. It's invaluable. So it's nice to see those kind of relations, Kendric. Nice point. Now, in the interview that you had with Neytpoh, Neytpoh said you're going to see more hero diversity in this series.
I love that you bring it up.
Than you have yet seen in the fight night. And how many have we had? 12, 13? We should really start remembering how many there have been. But they've all been awesome. He said you're going to see a lot of hero diversity. I think we're going to see Pitlord first now, maybe, which he's done before. I've seen Neytpoh stream. He's done Dark Ranger first. He's done Pitlord first. He's done Panda first, probably. I'm not sure. But there are a number of Tavern heroes that Night Elf can actually pull off against human. Let's see what it's going to be. He's got the build for it, so here we go. And it is Pitlord!
Oh, nicely observed, Grubby. Now, the question remains, does Deathnote also know what's coming for him? If he's been watching
his... there.
Yeah, the footy now, of course he does, but was he expecting it? We see Cleave first, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So the Pitlord, of course, is sometimes like a double-edged sword. It can become very powerful, especially with Cleave.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, no pun intended. He's got a big cleaver there, that's for sure. But he's somewhat item dependent too, isn't he? Without the claws, without some extra strength on his kit, these cleave attacks won't really hit that hard against many footmen surrounding him.
Yeah, correct. He's item dependent, he needs time, and he does have a really cool ult called Doom if he ever gets level 6, which definitely kills a unit and then gets a Doom guard. But Doom is dispellable. It's not as good as you think it is, no matter how cool it is. It's not like Dreadlord's Infernal. It's a great ult, but if there's Dispel, well, that's difficult to deal with. Now, here's the thing. Pitlord first is how Neytpoh beat me when I went Mountain King first against him. It's the only game that he won. He has warm, fuzzy feelings, and he saw Mountain King first from Deathnote in game 1. I think that Pitlord is a counterpick to MK, but I don't know how well it's going to work against Archmage. So there's one player that always plays Pitlord first, Toxic Grinta. He's a French player. He's a pretty good Night Elf, and he likes playing Pitlord first, even against Archmage.
Do they play solo, or do they play with 2 heroes then? Maybe 3 even.
Pitlord first and then Alchemist, or Pitlord first and then Panda. So you get double splash damage, and you either get some extra healing or even more damage and mischance.
Yeah.
Usually it's not solo because Doom is not something to build on. As I said, it can be dispelled.
All right, there we go.
How do you counter Pitlord with an Archmage? I did a lot of searching for it, and one base didn't work because he became too strong. He gets rejuvenated, he gets cleaved. Straight tier 3 from one base, that didn't work. You don't have enough units. In the end, I found it best to do for a quick expansion like this, and then into an extremely fast tier 3, like an almost ridiculously fast tier 3. Unlike Keeper, Pitlord cannot penetrate the main base, I wanted to say. Hold on, I take it back.
We're not seeing Howl of Terror, guys. We're going to see some fire raining down from the skies. It's not the kind of fire that the human needs. They need
how
fire.
Did he get in?
Oh my goodness, it comes in, and that's going to be so much damage done onto these poor little militias over there. They're all burning. They're trying to surround this mighty demon in their base, who's now also inflicting damage with a cleave, minimizing the hit area near the gold mine, so only 3, 4, 5 peasants can hit him at max. And he dies for his crimes as well. Oh my god, that's a disaster. Level 2.
There was a way to do this. One more attack and then TP. You get a peasant, and then you TP out, and then you bring a wisp, and you teleport there again. I didn't see, did he teleport into the base or walk in where the footman is? I think walked in where the footman is.
Yeah.
So you build upon the damage you do, you staff back after you TP and heal. What he did is cancel his own attack, don't get that one peasant that you were working for, and staff of teleport, during which you are vulnerable to attacks, and he just died. There's a special case of nerfs here going on or something, because that was not even a middle skill player would have misjudged that situation. So that was bizarre.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out what Neutron could have possibly been doing else, but he was controlling his hero uninterruptedly, right? He wasn't really stuck in a place for some time, maybe because he was creeping with his units. He was controlling the Pitlord all the time.
Maybe he was looking at his archers, but that's no excuse. He had telegraphed for like 10-20 seconds that it's going to end up with the TP, not a staff. You can staff if you're 150 life, not when you're 50. So that was bizarre. Did you update the score yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Apologies, I have to manage a lot of things, so thank you guys for your patience. And also thank you to Liam, who dropped another 1k bits. I mean, we see a Pitlord here in game, but we have a lot of Bitlords in the chat today, so...
What a pitiful request.
Thank you guys for being so supportive today. We really appreciate it. And the players, of course, will double appreciate it.
A nice damage that Deathnote is getting in here. Even though archers are impotent against footmen with defend, the Pitlord is doubly potent against them, dealing lots of damage. It's finishing them, though. That's the problem. And Deathnote is doing a fantastic job, sending all those footies back to home.
Very true. We see a little bit more skirmishing, but of course, with those nearby Moonwells, the Night Elf player can very comfortably heal against that. And losing quite a lot of footmen right now. These archers, they on the one hand, they get healed, and they don't even consume that much Moonwell juice because their health pool is relatively little. There's another Footman in the backline. The Pit Lord is going to take care of that one. So Deathnote, I mean, he loses a little bit of force power here, that's true. But behind all this, he has a second base, so he can kind of afford to lose all these units. Another footy dies to the creeps, by the way, near the laboratory. So quite some experience now for the Pit Lord. He's close to level 4, Grubby.
Yep, that's true.
Surround on the Archmage.
Oh, very nice surround. Lovely. Great moves here by Neytpoh. But reality check. He's got 5 wisps mining on lumber. 3 in his main, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. He's got double Ancient of Lore, a current lumber pool of 93. He's making Dryad, Abolish Magic, Bear Adept Training. His tier 3 is 60% of the way, and he's got no ability to get either Shredder or Wisp. Neytpoh is losing by virtue of no lumber economy.
Yeah.
He cannot make Bears and Master Training on time, and that's his only potential timing and win condition against this big Footman expansion swarm. I feel like we're looking at a 95% game here for Deathnote already, just by virtue of playing solid, his harass, and taking advantage of a huge blunder by Neytpoh.
And you know, the Pit Lord, as we said, it's so strong. It can be so strong. It's level 4 already. The items, might not be there, but the cleave already hits like a truck against all these footies. But what's this really going to do? I mean, there's so many options right now for Deathnote to branch out from this with 2 base economy. He can go for casters now. He's already building a blacksmith. Rifles, if he's expecting some dryads coming in, which he definitely saw because of the Footman Scout earlier. So there's really an abundance of possibilities he could go from here. He's building an Arcane Sanctum right now. A second one likely to follow. There it is. So it might just be a question of time for Deathnote to get a second hero, to bolster up his forces again, and then just march in like he did in Game 1 and take things with sheer economy power.
Yeah. And the Shredder comes in with the staff that helps it to start mining really quickly. That's going to take care of some lumber issues. And we do have Master Training coming in. But the Shredder is 4 food, 375 gold. That's 1.5 bears fewer in terms of resources. And he doesn't have enough lumber for another bear yet. He's 37 food, now 41. So Neytpoh is really much slower than a 50 food bear timing would look like. And even if he had 50 food bears, do you just take that and walk into the expansion and kill it all? There's 3 towers, there's units coming. Maybe, but he doesn't have that. Yeah. In the meantime, Deathnote went for the Mountain King second, which is coming now. He has 4 unit production buildings, a Rax, 2 Sanctums. Who's going to get the Book of the Dead, by the way?
Oh, who's going to pick it up? It's actually a really good item. Neytpoh can't pick it up. He's fully on items. He couldn't have even picked it up, so the human Deathnote has a really easy time here to catch that. Additional units. Locks him in with the Book of Death that he just found, and there is only one choice left for Neutron right now, and that is the TP. A nice little move that costs 350 gold. Their Tinker coming in, by the way, with rockets. Second pick.
It does so little damage. He didn't even kill the 2 HP Footman, but this was super cool. The Book of the Dead was nearly out of reach, Kendric.
Yeah.
He got surrounded, and you said it, man. He saved that moment. Had he not had the Book of the Dead, what do you think Cleave level 3 with rockets is going to do against all those footies?
Terrible, terrible things, Grubby, that I do not want to imagine, as I don't want to break Twitch TOS.
Deathnote, 57 food. Keep in mind, last game he did a 67 food timing. He's got 8 units currently in production, so it's going to be roughly something like that. This is the pre-final attack. Deathnote really not interested in leveling up his Mountain King. He doesn't want to tinker to get too much levels. He doesn't want to give too much time. This is a Moonwell attack. He's going to end up running away or TPing from this, and then his final attack will come. That's how these things go. But the Pit Lord comes in, and he's got a lot of damage. What's he going to do here to these footies?
Ooh, gets one. The radius is so big, actually. Now the anti-magic potion goes through. Look at these hits swinging and really dismantling so much of these human force, single-handedly driving them back for now, while the Tinker, with a couple of bears and some remaining Night Elven humans, got level 2.5. Got a super sick item there. Gets the Pipe of Insight. So now he's got the Mana Household in his favor, too.
So sick. Wait, they called it Pipe of Insight? I thought it was Pipe of Brilliance. Oh, maybe I misnamed it. Khadgar's Pipe of Insight. Yeah, that's a fantastic item. His Tinker's getting level 3 as well, which means level 2 rockets. He's expanding in the top left, Neytpoh. His Pit Lord first showed his extreme power, and it looked good. And now I'm going to tell you why humans should go tier 3 against this. with Knights, with Griffins, maybe with Dragonhawks.
Yeah.
Seek the air or seek big health points. Because Cleave can single-handedly destroy a human tier 2 army. One Cleave and he will kill the Mountain King. If he attacks the Footy, he will kill the Mountain King.
Oh, he needs to directly
There we
attack
go.
it. There he finally gets it with a big radius swing. No more stunts now that the MK is gone to interrupt this. And I think this Pit Lord, despite this early sign of weakness in the human base at level 2, is kind of making up for his early crimes, isn't he?
Yep, that's true. Gorgonash is here and he's here to stay, and it's going to be difficult. Look, Deathnote already went to tier 3 because he realized it's not working. And that's because he probably lacks experience against Pit Lord. I had the extreme displeasure of losing against this a few times already. And just seeing my army evaporate, doesn't matter how you micro. I mean, he just killed the Mountain King from 400 range away by hitting a footman. One hit, it was sick.
So sick. And now, of course, the question remains, if Deathnote has what it takes to find his rhythm back into the game. We called it earlier an almost 90% guaranteed win if the human continues to play the way he played. But already, so much time has been bought for Neutron. His expansion is almost up. His bear count is getting significantly stronger.
Oh.
The hero level's actually so strong. Invis Potion on the Pit Lord right now. He's probably going to walk into the human base trying to get some more workers. And level 6, Grubby, we might see the Doomguard coming in relatively soon if he actually wants to go that route.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will get probably at least 4 peasants here, maybe more.
All these lumber peasants or the gold peasants. Here they
There
go.
we go, here we
It's going to
go.
be a massacre. 1 swing, 2 swing, 3 swings. And he doesn't even have that high of a damage attribute, but still, the range is so big on the cleave. I can't believe what I'm seeing. He needs a couple
Imagine
more.
this in Heroes of the Storm.
I would play the ish out of a Pit Lord. I'm not going to lie. If they ever released a hero like that with big cleaves, big sword. But the Mountain King trying to now maybe save the day. Another worker falls. Now, of course, waits until the Stormbolt is there and can use the Telestaff like nothing ever happened.
He absolutely should never have Stormbolted there. That was a huge blunder. There was no way for that Pit Lord to leave the base except Staff, and you can only interrupt Staff if you keep Bolt. There was Invul, there was Magic Potion, but that was actually a Pit Lord kill if he wants it. Now, of course, Pit Lord, he could have done Anti-Magic Potion, then Staff, then you can't Bolt him, but he was there with 2 Sorks, 2 Priest. Priests have Dispel. If he microed that properly, he would have got the Pit Lord, which would have been huge, no pun intended. But now the Pit Lord is level 5.75, Tinker's 3.6. Neytpoh finally has an army, 63 food army. Let's look at his upgrade, 0-0. And he's against 80 food. Well, he's only 17 food down.
Grubby, there's a squad. There's a Hitman squad between the two Night Elven heroes and the human peasants. They're still weakened from the earlier assault, and now the rockets are in the game as well, dropping them into the gold mine. They're all dying. It's a massacre right there, and level 6 is getting so dangerously close now. The Doomguard, I might actually see it for the first time in my relatively young Warcraft 3 caster career, but what a highlight that would be.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it. And I'm so glad to experience it as your Doomguard virginity is popped, Kendric.
My first time, Grubby. It feels so good.
You're going to give birth to a Doomguard. It's so beautiful.
I think it's very likely to see it. I mean, there's at least some priest to die or some other human units. Even if it's workers later on, it's going to be nice. A knight actually caught here. Nice find for him. And here we go. Gorgonash charging in, dropping the Howl of Terror, and is going to try and cleave his way to victory. The rockets are supporting. Takes a lot of damage, though. Has an invult just in case things get a little bit sour.
Really good suppressive fire by Deathnote. He did every move exactly necessary to suppress the value of that Pit Lord. Bolting it, slowing it, blocking it. He hasn't removed Rejuvenate. Now he's done that. That's really well done by Deathnote, actually making sure that the Pit Lord has to port so quickly. But there's still a Tinker with rockets. Is he gonna use it? It's definitely available. Neytpoh dropping the ball on his cooldowns here. Was busy with his Pit Lord. Pit Lord comes back in with full health and mana.
Look at the stun, it's coming through, locking Deathnote's army a little bit more in place. Level 6 is here. Are we going to see the Doom? Maybe on the mortar team right here to guarantee a big one. Oh, the Spellbreaker! Here it comes, Doom unleashed! Feel my wrath. The stomp hitting those weakened human units, as well as the Paladin, who might even die next, is currently invisible. And this, ladies and gentlemen, might be an incredible turnaround from Neutron, the reigning champion. Kills unit after unit. Look at that Doomguard. It's crippled right now, stolen by the Spellbreakers. Tries to go into the backline once again. The Priests, I'm not sure if they can dispel it quickly enough. The mana pool might be a little bit depleted of all that healing.
I'm not sure he knows. He's not actively dispelling it. Pitlord is dropping low. Pitlord is dropping low. Does the Tinker have a staff? And he does.
Nice staff save there, and Knights are falling. You can hear their death cries right now. The focus fire onto the Doomguard. Look at that beautiful chaos damage coming in. He's killing it manually instead of dispelling it. And here, down it goes. The Tinker, though. Level 5, level 3 rockets are probably going to rain down from the skies here any moment. So much damage coming through. The Archmage might be the next one. Those bears are taking a big, juicy chunk bite off those human heroes. Level 1, Puny Mountain King. What are you going to do?
We have a Deathnote with 45 food here against full mana bears. They could just morph, rejuvenate, and attack again. In comes the rockets. He's so low, the Paladin.
Boom! One hit.
Down. Executed.
With great impunity, the Pitlord reigns supreme and catches another victim, and there's no other chance for Deathnote other than to say GG. Against this onslaught of the furious Tavern heroes, Grubby, I mean, Neutron came back with great momentum in this game.
Yeah, imagine losing your first hero at level 2. The opponent gets level 3 Archmage and does defend harass against archers. Imagine coming back from that. That's gotta feel like $1 million, man.
So good. We were kind of doubting him already, you know, after that relatively disappointing performance in Game 1 and that strong start from Deathnote once again, and that, let's call it as it is, that quite silly loss of the Pitlord in the human base. We thought, you know, maybe it's the nerves, maybe Neutron is finally starting to shake a little bit and break a sweat, but looks like he didn't. Looks like he remained calm, cool, and collected as the 3-times champ that he is. And now it's a series, guys. 1-1, best of 5.
Now, he did die, but he did hold on to his Town Portal scroll. So It's not like he did a lose-lose situation. He maintains TP. This is a decision people generally make only for level 1 heroes. You don't generally TP for a level 1 hero, but you will for a level 2 because it's worth it. Takes longer to come back, gives more XP, and costs more gold. So you could say that maybe it was intentional, but his staff out showed that it was not.
Yeah. And I don't think you want to let a level 2 hero die intentionally. A level 1, sure, any time of the day. The costs are low, the cooldown is relatively low as well, but level 2, it changes things quite a bit, especially with the XP they provide as well. So, yeah, Grubby, man, we have a series on our hands, and thank you guys once again for being so generous with the bits today. Hopefully this wonky, crazy, in a good way, Game 2 is going to further spark the rain of bits that will trickle in for the players, hopefully. Amazonia is our map number 3, and I can't wait to see what we're going to have here. Amazonia, not really a Mountain King map. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I did beat Neytpoh here with Mountain King first, but I definitely agree it's not a Mountain King map at all. It's weird and wonky to do it here. I happen to do it preferentially. I don't think Deathnote will, but we'll see. Now, we see an H4 first at the Goblin shop. It means another Tavern hero build. That could mean Pitlord first again. It could also mean Dark Ranger first, which Neytpoh has recently been using. It's a good map for it as well.
I've watched a game recently with Law Lyot playing against Human, and he went Tinker first. It was very wonky. It did go pretty okay, actually, after many people were doubting him in the first place. But yeah, I think the options you mentioned, there another pity game maybe, the Dark Ranger. I think that's definitely more likely, and more likely to have success too.
Did Law Lyot play it with Factory or with Rockets or both?
He went with both, and he went full Gobbo. He also had an Alchemist in the mix too as second.
Goblin Alchemist, nice. Yeah. We see Archmage first here for Deathnote. This is Deathnote's first pick if he were to lose, and he did, so that's why we're here. So this is a map, Amazonia, where he should be comfortable on. The score is now 1-1. We are, quote-unquote, reduced to a best of 3. We're going to see Neytpoh make 2 to 3 archers, then uproot his Ancient of War, hire his hero, and he's going to start this camp. That will give him level 2.2, and an item such as Wand of Illusion, Wand of Lightning Shield, Potion of Replenishment, or Sentry Ward, all quite good to control the map with, and I think Lightning Shield might be the best to do a lot of early game damage.
Just in case you're wondering which other maps we're going to see as the series gets dragged out, guys, the two maps that were banned that we're not going to see are Echo Isles and Twisted Meadows. So the other maps that are left in the pool, such as Concealed Hill, Last Refuge, they're all a possibility, depending on how many games we're going to see.
Very good to know. Archmage with the Lightning Shield proc here to do a bit of bonus damage on those rogues. He's using it sparingly. You don't want to use it to last hit, you lose the experience.
True.
Pulls in the second camp. We see a panda first. Masha Stormstout.
Wow. Okay. So are we going to see the good old drunken fire breath? Or are we going to see some passive later on as well? There are some players that like to go fire breath and then go for the crits and the dodge.
Yeah, well, he got Drunken Haze first. There's no one that goes Drunken Haze and Drunken Brawler. It's too much drink for anyone. So it is going to be the double spell combo. That means that Neytpoh would love to find any mana items he could.
Yeah.
Top left, bottom right. The two main bases. And there's always the possibility to get some low permanent items. Deathnote immediately goes for the Rock Golem expansion. There are no eyes for Neytpoh on this. This is a great call by Deathnote, noticing there's a lack of scouting. And ideally there's a Wisp here detonating some of those water elementals. Maybe there's some harass. But Neytpoh says, no, I'm going to let you do whatever you want. Panda 3 is when I start interacting with my opponent. Until then, this is a freaking single player game. All right, let's see how it plays out.
All right, there's a Wisp nearby in the top left corner, just in case Neutron was about to scout the early expansion attempt from Deathnote. He's currently building it up. The Lightning Shield out of range, so he doesn't deny the Wizard. Very nicely done. Gets a little bit of attack damage, but as you said, Grubby, mana, of course, is oftentimes the key to victory here on very mana-hungry heroes, such as the Pandaren Brewmaster. We see a little bit of aggression from Deathnote. Makes sure to keep the Night Elf in his own half of the base, so that the expansion can go up uninterruptedly. Lots of Moonwell juice to drink from, so I think this Pandaren will be relatively safe, but the creeps are still attacking one of the Archer. Cloaks it right now, and this is a very scary early skirmish already coming from Deathnote, because the army of Neutron is very small, very little.
Yeah, there's no defend upgrade yet, and he's not getting it either, so it's what you see is what you get. There is some Moonwell juice left, but make no mistake, initially it goes well for the Elf, but eventually when the Moonwells are empty, suddenly the Panda will have problems. He's burning a lot of mana. These Wisp detonates are key. He gets one double detonate, tries to go for another Deathnote with the bad micro, bringing everything together. That's triple value for Neytpoh, and very important. Oh my god, Deathnote is giving so much experience, and this means that Panda will now get level 3.
Easy. With the Huntresses that just reinforce the battlefield, he makes sure to get those squishy footies that took so much damage from the AoE combo of the Pandaren earlier. And mind you, in the early game, Grubby, without tier 2 for the human, I think Deathnote is going to be very susceptible to this combo. Because only later does he get priests that can potentially, if he's quick enough, dispel the Drunken Haze.
True. I want to update something that just happened. He did an Archer pool in the Merc camp. He's going to hire a bunch of Mercs, the Berserker and the Priest. Neytpoh's tier 1 with 4 Moonwells and a Hunter's Hall. He just got double Mercs. He just sold Claws, he sold Boots, and he sold Sentry Ward. He sold TP, Claws, and Sentry Ward, and he bought Boots. So he's all about chasing down units now. I find the Boots a very suspect choice, by the way. I don't think it really fits this kind of all-in. He tried to hire more Mercs from the bottom right. So this is an all-in by Neytpoh. He's waited as long as he could to drink from the Moonwells. Now Panda's full, Moonwells are empty. He's made as much units as he can. Neytpoh's next attack has to be huge. He's bringing all of his Wisp. This is an all-in. Does Deathnote realize it? And will he be able to stop it? And he realizes it. He sees the Wisp.
Yeah. That's a big catch. It's not a normal move for a Night Elf to move that many Wisps towards your expansion at the same time. 1 or 2, maybe you could say, okay, they're just scouting, trying to get some information. And 4, 5, 6, you know what's coming. First of all, these Wisps, of course, can detonate those water Ellies, and they can deplete the mana on heroes, very important for a push. But they can also potentially build some APs. You know, the Hunter's Hall is there. might actually be something he wants to go for. Huntresses, we have 3 here at the time. We have a couple of mercenaries, some archers in the backline, and the Pandaren with nothing but boots. He's pretty much naked, has no mana restoration except for Alyssa Clarity. Might even want to build a forward outpost with a shop here as well, Neutron that is. But
Shredder.
Deathnote is trying to intercept him here outside of his base. The Shredder, an additional strong fighting unit, although it's not intended to be one normally, takes a lot of the damage and packs quite the punch. And I think all of a sudden it's Neutron with the numbers, and Deathnote needs to buy as much time as possible. Does he have towers at his expansion? Yes. 2 at a time, 3rd one in production.
Shredder come out as well for Deathnote. He's going to mine
first
with
AP.
it for now. He's got 2 towers in his main. There come the APs. Funny thing is, Sapper will be available in 10 seconds of like in-game time, which is like in a few seconds. Will he get a Zeppelin? Will he get a Sapper? Will he try to defend? He's got 3 towers, Deathnote. He goes for the counterattack. Base attack. There's 1 Moonwell still low. Will he get a Sapper from the laboratory? All of this took too much time, Kendric.
Yeah.
For Neytpoh, Deathnote did a great job of like kind of posturing left and right and buying time.
Yeah, and he even brought and forced the Pandaren Brewmaster to go back for now. Now, mind you, he's a
Sapper!
strong hero.
Goblin Sapper!
Goblin Sapper coming in. What are we going to see here? The AP's almost there. There's even a Glaive Thrower right now. This is going to be a crazy base race now.
Yeah. He misplayed the Sapper. You can actually kill both Moonwells. He got only half life because he didn't walk far enough. So that requires a little bit more damage. Neytpoh is doing good damage. APs are here, Glaives are here, but that's the second base he's working on. Meantime, he's lost 3 Moonwells.
And it's not easy to reproduce those Moonwells right now, because ideally he would want to focus on more units, but without those Moonwells he can reproduce them. So this is kind of like his only and final attack that he has. He tries to take down the Arcane Vault, takes a lot of damage in the process though, uses the distraction though to use the Ancient Protectors as a forward spearhead if he gets to it. Those footies, they're still attacking. They're trying to get every single Moonwell. A Goblin Zeppelin is here as well to allow faster transportation. But now, this is the all-in attack from the Night Elves. However, Grubby, I think Deathnote, all he needs to do right now is to build additional towers in the main, and he should be fine.
Yeah, that's true. He needs to be able to fall back on that. That was a great pickup by Deathnote because the Panda would have fire breathed all those footies in just a second.
Yeah. Speaking of the Panda, he has no protection but a healing scroll, and he's kind of forced to abandon the base right now. He even leaves the expansion to itself because he realizes the more time he wastes on the expansion, the more time he gives Deathnote to reinforce and fortify the main. And if there's enough towers, you know, it's going to be nigh impossible to storm it.
Now, what I think Neytpoh needs is build a Tree of Life on the natural of Deathnote and also Moonwells. He's got money to make Moonwells. He hasn't got any Wisps at home. Those 2 Wisps he has to the left of his AP, those 2 Wisps need to build Moonwells now. He needs it for his Panda. And then eventually a Tree of Life. He's not doing this, which makes me feel like he's not thinking properly about the long-term plan in this game. Yeah. He's losing his Tree of Life and he's got nothing else yet. His Wisps try to escape. Deathnote immediately reacts. Goes for the Wisps.
Goes for the Wisps. All these footies are very, very low, but it is good enough to take down the only Tree of Life that Neutron had. He's building another one right now. He's trying to use Deathnote's former expansion as a forward outpost. He's dealing a lot of damage onto those human peasants with a Fire Breath. He has no longer the healing scroll. That is what he used right now, so no healing at all. Loses a Huntress there as well. Every unit for Neutron right now matters, especially the 2 Glaive Throwers. So important to maybe crack down the defenses. He could even target down the footies right now. They're so close to dying. Oh, the Pandaren drops another Fire Breath. Very nicely done, but he's out of juice right now. If he were to get hold of the Archmage, he kills the altar. Is he going to get it with the Mountain King?
Oh, Mountain King! Yeah.
If the Mountain King comes out, that's a big boon, and I think he goes out. Oh, that was so clutch. Stormbolt? Oh my goodness, that might be the kill. Pandaren, last second save. Oh, click on the Zeppelin Neutron. It was so close. The saving grace, it was almost there. And without a hero, he has to play StarCraft right now, Grubby, who's basically going up against a very fortified Deathnote.
The Tree of Life has been made. It's 70% of the way there. Moonwells are coming, but he has got nothing to bring back his Panda. The altar is available, but no money, no food. So he's got Glaive Throwers and 6 units and a Zeppelin.
Oh boy.
And he's up against 2 heroes. I mean, it's StarCraft versus Warcraft. You said it, Kendrick. You know what's better? Warcraft!
We're totally not biased, guys, at all. But It's such a clutch situation for Neutron. He had the right idea, right? Buying that Zeppelin. He had it almost where it belonged, but those last couple of panic clicks, unfortunately, weren't precise enough to save that Pandaren. If he saves it, maybe he can fly towards the Ancient of Wonders and, save it with a Moonwell in production and fills it back up. Because let's not forget about the fact that Deathnote also took some crippling damage right now. It's not just Neutron that lost a lot. Look at the peasants, look at the economy right now. Deathnote is by no means in a golden situation right now.
Yeah, and he keeps like hyper-focusing on Neytpoh's expansion. This game isn't over yet, by the way.
No.
He keeps focusing on the expansion, but why are you trying to crack bunch of units and double AP with two heroes that are nearly dead, one of which? Why isn't he creeping? Like, literally, the opponent hasn't got a hero. This is how you can get ahead in hero level, or less behind.
Yeah.
Eventually, that Panda will come back, because mining will resume, and Neytpoh has a long way to get his Panda back, and that's why he's trying to buy time with this double glaive thrower action here, shooting in the worker line.
Well, I mean, every hero, every unit that he gets, every worker to be exact, is going to delay and buy more time for his hero to come back online. The gold mine is entangled, so it's one base against one base again. Of course, Neutron is going to take a long time to get back standing up on his feet. He needs the supply, he needs the Moonwells, and then he needs an altar.
So he sends the hunters to deal with
he still has an altar, by the way, in the bottom.
Yeah, so he sends the hunters there to deal with it, and that footman will have to go away. Meantime, Deathnote cheeky towers.
I like it. I like it. Very nice. It's going to take...
had to...
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Neytpoh had to pull a gold wisp just to make another Moonwell, and then eventually, finally, he can restart his Panda. The Zeppelin, I think, has seen the towers. It's a cannon tower, and he's going to start firing immediately, so that's going to get shut down. No, why is he repairing? There's no point to this.
Yeah, cannon towers, they take a long time to finish as well. I mean, sure, they're strong, their range and their damage is sick, but yeah, this needs to be cancelled immediately. And look at Deathnote's positioning as well. For a long period of time, he was leaving both heroes in the back of his base because he was afraid of another glaive drive-by,
Why?
So,
Why not just put a water elemental and go live your life? Just go live your life. He's not here anymore. He can't hurt you anymore.
And look at the resources. Almost 600 gold coming in for Neutron right now. He was queuing the Pandaren in his altar, but that one was a little bit too wonky. It took too long. It was already damaged. So instead, he uses more resources to rebuy his first hero at the tavern. And now...
It's very nice to know that after the pandas were critically endangered, the breeding program has worked. Pandas are back on the menu. Oh, no. Pandas are back at large.
Here we go. Okay. Beer has been resupplied, and the alcohol level increases for the panda. Let's see what he can do. He's got decent mana. He finds the human immediately. Tries to go for the priest. Very expensive units right now for Deathnote. Two go down immediately. Nice experience. Almost level 5.
Panda getting closer and closer to level 5. The MK gets surrounded. Does he have Thunderclap? Does he have a Zeppelin? Where is the Zeppelin?
Zeppelin nowhere to be found. He does have Thunderclap, as you said, Grubby. That's a lot of damage on those on those squishy ladies in the back.
In the meantime, glaive throwers kill the farm. Let's just let that sink in for a second. His Zeppelin dropped and killed the farm with the glaives.
Yeah, and unlike Deathnote, the Zeppelin of Neutron is there to save the day, and these glaive thrower micro has been absolutely spectacular so far. It gets quite the momentum, and honestly, at this point, Neutron is almost back. Of course, in tech, he's miles behind. He still has only one Tree of Life, but the Moonwells are slowly coming in. There's still an Ancient of War producing archers right now, the only thing he can really afford. The question is, his army still looks okay. Is Deathnote going to give his opponent too much time to rebuild?
Arguably, he already has. I mean, the panda has been dead for maybe 6 minutes. Deathnote took one camp in this, and he got creep checked on it.
Yeah. Zeppelin, by the way, idle in the bottom left. Completely idle.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He forgot it. Panda comes in. Is he going to drunken fire? The thing is, he's got 2 Moonwells to fall back on. He expends everything here. Could be the biggest mistake of his life.
Okay. He walks
and he
back.
goes back. He doesn't waste it on peasants. Smart.
Yeah. Very good indeed. He has an invul and he has a staff. So finally this Pandaren can go a little bit more aggressively into these human units without risking everything. And I love what you said, Grubby. Sure, getting peons is very tempting. Peasants is very tempting. Gives you easy experience, but also sacrifices a lot. Mana and health alike.
It's an opportunity cost here that could just see him lose the incoming fight.
Yeah. All right,
Wait,
there's
why
mortar
did
teams
those
right now.
creeps-
Takes down the first AP. The base is now a little bit wider open. It's going to be a siege battle versus siege battle, or siege unit versus siege unit battle. See what we can do here.
Mortar versus Glaive is not what I expected to see today casting the new Kendric.
Neither did I. Look at that one cheeky flying machine hunting the blue Zeppelin of Neutron, and is likely going to get it because there's hardly any anti-air ready right now. The AP was shooting a creep out of nowhere, and now we see the Pandaren finally getting focused by the human forces with strong water alleys. No dispel ready except for Wisp, but he doesn't even have that many of them left. And the Mountain King, relentless, dodges the Stormbolt with a nice usage of the Invul. Drops a little bit of damage onto the backline right now, but how much can he afford to do? Needs to be very careful, very careful. Gets slowed and likely killed with another Stormbolt. Yeah, that is a dead Pandaren.
Yep. Alright, back to the zoo from whence he came. What a pity for the
GG.
Panda. Deathnote takes a 2-1 lead against our 3-times champion, Neytpoh.
Strong game. It was getting a little bit dicey. My palms were already getting sweaty there for a moment for Deathnote because he made it unnecessarily complicated, didn't he?
Yes, yes, he did. Let's see. From the start of the game, he made very good decision to fast expand. In that situation, he guarded himself well, and he had a furious counter assault. What was important is that he attacked before Panda got to creep to level 3, which was the win condition. The next amazing thing Deathnote did is he bought immeasurable amounts of time against Neytpoh doing an obvious all-in. He found the Wisps. He stopped them from the left side, from the right side, from the left side. Huntresses, archers. He kept stopping them. He never fully committed. He just showed himself. And somehow Neytpoh wanted to meet Deathnote at his home, but Deathnote kept making it a middle of the map situation, which means Wisps cannot move forward to plant Ancient Protectors, not unguarded. So he needs to deal with those footies, but he had nothing to slow them or root them or stun them. So it became this standoff that really cost Neytpoh too much time. Deathnote did this, and that's how he was able to delay it. And then the base trade, very important decision.
Yeah.
I think if he takes that fight straight up, Kendric, and he just tries to defend, he can't hold it.
Yeah, and he really hit Neutron where it hurt, going for the supply in the Moonwells, denying Neutron any more reinforcements. He was down to, I think he was like 40-10, something like that in terms of food. So
Yeah.
It was a really cool decision by Deathnote to really take the time, not follow the basic instinct, which would be defend, 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 but saying, no, I'm going to counterattack and I'm going to try to weaken the Night Elf only to stabilize in my base. And also at the towers. Such a smart idea, go for 3 guard towers. Even a 4th one could have been good. And then he was basically safe against the relatively weak and hurt almost tier 1 of the Night Elf.
Not the cleanest cleanup in that situation against that weak tier 1 Night Elf.
Yeah.
A little bit of indecisiveness, a bit slow, but he doesn't have all the information. We know how much gold Neytpoh
Exactly.
has. Deathnote did not. He thought maybe Panda will be back anytime soon. I need to stay at home, get my army. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's at a 2-1. Neytpoh can no longer really be creative here and fool around. Not saying that he did, but if he planned to show Deathnote every corner of the room, now is the time to pack it in and put his strongest brand of Warcraft 3 on the table, because he's about to get eliminated by his countrymate.
His rival that he didn't want to lose against Grubby. Keep that in mind. Neutron was very eager to stress that a loss today is out of question. So
Yeah.
Now he needs to deliver. Now he needs to show what the 3-times Fight Night champ is made of. And once again, Grubby going for a neutral opening. No Warden, no Demon Hunter at all, which seems to be the more standard meta response to many humans these days.
Yeah, that's true. Demon Hunter is something we see a lot, especially in China right now on the NetEase servers. We see a lot of Demon Hunter into Naga, a little bit of Demon Panda. And so this Tavern Hero is definitely feeling super European, Russian, Neutronian, Bob. Is it going to be Panda or Pitlord? There's 6 other heroes in the tavern. You mentioned Tinker, Kendric.
Yeah.
He could open with Naga, Firelord, Beastmaster, Dark Ranger. What do you think it's gonna be?
I think Neutron at this point is starting to really feel the pressure, and maybe he's going to rely on the weapon that has worked best for him so far. So I'm leaning towards a Pit Lord. I really think this might be the way for him to go. Of course, it could be anything, guys, but I that's just my personal guess.
All right, I'll keep it interesting, and I'll say a Dark Ranger.
Nice.
I just remember that game that Neutron used about 2 weeks ago. A Dark Ranger game on Echo against Todd. Won with that. He did a big Dark Ranger Mercenary Archer push. No Hunter's Hall. Got Panda second level 1. Used that to do a push. Then Hunter's Hall. Then eventually Dryads and Counter Expansion. So it's fitting very much what he likes. Let's see if that's what it's going to be, though. Wisp is headed to the tavern. Meantime, Deathnote, our leader of this series, Mountain King first once again.
Yeah, Mountain King, you know. I will say that on a map like this, it's not a risk-free gamble, especially when you have to expect a Demon Hunter as well, which is almost like the most neutral and most solid option for Night Elves to open with these days. But maybe sometimes you can counter mind game that when you think it would be a good time for your opponent to pick the Demon Hunter, then you expect them to not do it, and then you still pick the Mountain King, you know? So pretty cool to see. Strong creeping coming in with the Mountain King as well. Reinforcements now arriving from the creep side of things. And here we see Grubby, the Prophet, has spoken, and the Prophet shall be granted his title. So
I can read minds. It's not hard when you can read minds. In the meantime, we see a double Stormbolt and a Detonate. Mountain King is out of mana. He's level 1.7. Not too bad. He got an Archer. A little bit unlucky for Neytpoh, or I should say some mistakes, because his Wisp went through the Troll level 4 camp.
Yeah.
Which made him use an Archer to free the Wisp. But the camp never forgets, never surrenders. And so they went with the Ensnare on the Archer, which cost him 1. And now he's got a Dark Ranger who excels at early game creeping and momentum with 0 momentum. He hasn't got a creep yet. He's lost an Archer. Now, he did stop Mountain King from getting the camp. But to be honest, that camp is not instrumental. It's a powerful fire to the fire flames. No, it's a powerful flame to the moth that is Neytpoh. Neytpoh is literally a moth. Deathnote flamed that camp, and Neytpoh was forced to come over there. So although he stopped it, he wasn't creeping during this time. Mountain King now is taking a safe expansion, and Dark Ranger is finally going for the camp. And you know what? He slapped that Mud Golem with the Ancient of War.
I saw it too.
20 XP he's supposed to get for it.
I saw it too. That's going to possibly prevent the level 2. Actually, no. The camp is still strong enough. But yeah, it denies XP, and these are mistakes that normally don't happen that often to a player of the caliber of Neutron. So maybe nerfs, you know, he's with the backs against the wall. Only one more game he loses, and he's out of it after 3 glorious times where he defended his title. By the way, I love what Deathnote did here, by the way. Early Shadow Priest, reinforcing his troops against a Dark Ranger where you can dispel these Dark Minions in the case of an emergency. Very nice.
He always wanted that. That's why he went for the fast Merc camp. Didn't get to get it yet early on, but now he has it. So that's a little bit of bonus experience.
Could get a second one in the bottom.
Oh yeah, he could, because Neutron didn't get it. You don't generally get Priest against Mountain King. It's too easy to bolt and kill. So that means Deathnote could indeed get a second. It has to be after his expansion, though. Now, Neytpoh scouted the expansion with a lesser Dark Minion. It's standing behind the gold mine. He sees it being finished now. There are no towers yet. And remember that build that I said Neytpoh might do? A big Mercenary Archer all in? I think that's what we're going to see. The expansion is... the main is 90% of the way teching. But he does have the early Hunter's Hall.
That is true. So Huntresses could be an option. And you know what else is really good for Neutron right now? The aura item that he found. The Lion Horn of Stormwind with those Dark Minions. They're all going to get beefed up. Nice surround on the Mountain King. This is definitely a forced early TP. Something that Deathnote really wanted to avoid by any means necessary. Maybe he can kill that Archer in time. He's pulling in the footies as well, but he realizes the Dark Ranger as a replacement immediately to close the gap and has to pull the trigger. Does not want to lose a level 2 Mountain King. And now the Mountain King doesn't have anything to heal. Only now does he build the Arcane Vault. So this takes so much time and so much momentum off Deathnote's early game plans.
Yeah, a lot of cool things there. First of all, Neytpoh is so good at those surrounds with Archers. Got the MK. Then Cylance to stop the Stormbolt. Exactly when Archer was 130 life. That's exactly when you would want a Stormbolt and finish it off. and he did the Cylance to troll Deathnote to keep this around. He didn't need to do it that way, by the way. He could have moved the Archer, put another in its place, but he went with the Cylance. Cost a bit of mana, but it definitely puts a wrench in the plans for Deathnote. Deathnote now went for that quick mercenary camp creeping. He's got a peasant to make the farm. He did pull all of his militia to creep and all of his peasants to get the vault. Now look at his lumber, 64. Almost no peasants mining. He's really delayed himself a lot to tech. So this Mountain King level 3 is pretty much all he has. Does he have Thunderclap or Bolt?
He went for Bash.
Oh, okay. Bolt and Bash.
Bolt and Bash.
There's the panda.
There's the panda, and you mentioned it, Grubby. I'm very concerned for Deathnote right now if he wants to hold this early game aggression, because he's at 1 barracks. That's basically all he has at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have done something like 2 barracks and then transition into rifles at some point, but with only 1 barracks footy, I'm not sure if he can hold the tier 2 push that's going to come in relatively soon for Neytpoh. He's even building an expansion right now, 2 lores coming up in the main base, so sooner or later, this Night Elven army is going to look very dangerous.
Yeah, and the thing is, there is no lumber mill, no guard towers in his main, no ivory tower. I mean, no arcane tower in his main, no guard tower anywhere, no lumber mill, no defend upgrades, no blacksmith. So, and now he needs a heal scroll, Deathnote. He just needs to run at the shop, get heal, protection, and invul, and get that, because gold is all he has. Oh, he does have defend upgrade. Cool.
Yeah, defend upgrade is there, but Neutron, man, when things are going well, you're kind of on a roll, and sometimes the gods, they smile upon the bold. And here we go. Nice steal coming in from Deathnote's Mountain King, but he found the great Amana Neutron, that is. So this Pandaren will not run out of juice anytime soon. Drops another Stormbolt, tries to maybe inflict some damage with Lucky Bashes, but...
he's going to invul and chase. Neytpoh can micro. Neytpoh can try to micro and stop this Mountain King. Deathnote has the boots, he's circumventing. He's in range of Bolt. Let's fly. Goes away, sees the Dryad.
Nicely done, though. Cost him an invul, but as you said, Grubby, gold is definitely not something that Deathnote has to worry about at the moment. So he can afford that for now. Has to heal his entire army. And Neutron gets away with the hero. That's definitely a safety thing that he needed to go for. Buys a Staff of Preservation for safety. Does not want to lose a hero just because he wasn't paying attention for a millisecond, you know. Really wants to have all the safety options that he has. His expansion, almost up there. Almost 2 base versus 2 base.
He's got no wisps at his expansion. None producing. He does have wisps at home, and he's got plenty of lumber. So he's going to Maynard over 3 wisps from his main.
Good.
And remake another 2. So his expansion pretty much seamlessly mining. Dark Ranger level 3.6. Panda 2.2. Greater heal, greater mana. Enough gold for a heal scroll. Does he get it? No. Neytpoh just takes his standing army. Comes over here. And there comes the army. The best thing that Deathnote could hope for is kill the gold mine, but I don't think it's worth the risk. The whole army is here. He's going to run. Yeah. He's going to lose a bunch of units, or he will TP out. Oh, that's good micro. Good decision by Deathnote to actually take a small fight and then TP out.
Yeah, I think he has to pull the trigger immediately as well. This Pandaren is so stacked. He's a rich boy. Has the mana, has the healing. Doesn't even need to use any of it, though, because his buddy in crime, the Dark Ranger, saves him with a staff. Very nicely done. Loses a couple of footies, but overall diminishes the damage he takes. Now delays a little bit the aggression, potential aggression against any of the human bases. Tier 2 is here now. Is he going to go for a second here relatively soon? Let's see. Here's a blacksmith. Could transition into rifles. He's not really building any tier 2 buildings right now. There comes the Sanctum, okay.
Very slow macro by Deathnote. And you know what? His tier 2 has been finished for many seconds before that engagement. So Deathnote, he was mining double, and that's nice. But that's no longer an advantage, because so is Neytpoh. And Neytpoh is getting Master Bears. In the meantime, he could have been making his tech, use that little diversion as a diversion, and then get his tech up. But he didn't. Neither going to tier 3. So now we go with the double Sanctum, single workshop. We're going to get that army, but it's coming way later. That means by the time that Deathnote has a 70 food army, Neytpoh will be 60 food with a better tech. And it's going to be tough for Deathnote to make that army count. He's not creeping a lot, and he's falling behind in levels.
He's falling behind in levels and items so much, Grubby, right now. Look at the inventory of the Pandaren. That's a wonderland right there. You want a little bit of mana, need a bit of healing? We got everything for you. Strong auras too with the Lion Horn. He still has a Hood of Cunning. Nice additional stats onto the Pandaren as well. A little bit of extra mana and agility. And I think that might actually break Deathnote's bones, at some point if he doesn't really get strong hero levels. Sure, he has an Archmage, but what does an Archmage level 1 do in a fight at this stage of the game? Bare
You
to
tell
nothing.
me. He's got brilliance. That's what it does. Level 1 Archmage with brilliance.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't want to go for Blood Mage because Siphon Mana can be interrupted by Cylance, and because he's running Double Sanctum, he doesn't want to get like Dota-style hero power. He wants to get a hero that can support a lot of his army, which is casters.
Yeah.
Now, heavily banking into casters against Dark Ranger can be a threat because she has a really big silence. If she tags... Oh, wow. Ancient Django of Endurance is a fantastic item for Deathnote here. But if she gets a silence on all the casters, that can be huge. Oh, Deathnote going for a big Zeppelin drop. He's going to try to kill as many peasants as he can. There's only double tower here.
There goes Neutron, building up a tiny, sneaky attack that's gonna actually deal a lot of damage if left unchecked. Drops the units, drops the heroes. In the mining peasant line he goes. Takes a couple of units out, but immediate TP as a reaction. Or is it only a staff? No, it's actually the full TP. Tries to maybe stun and kill some of the remaining units here, but the TP is coming in as a countermeasure from Neutron as well. Doesn't lose a single thing. Forces the human army to go back once again. And now the army is trapped. Needs to use mortars to kill some trees.
Yeah, the result he got for that is a single peasant and a repositioning of the human. So what matters here is, was that a good move for Neytpoh, yes or no? Now we look at the map. Mountain King, Deathnote just grabbed the Ogre Lord top left, and near it there are 4 camps, 2 orange and 2 green. Those would have been implicitly his based on his position.
True.
You look at where Neytpoh attacked from, the Goblin Laboratory of Deathnote. Near it, 2 green camps, maybe an orange, and the rest is quite far. So in terms of repositioning, this was very effective for Neytpoh. Even though he only killed a single peasant, he loved to trade TP there because now he gained access to his own laboratory. And what's next? Triple green camp near him, then an orange in the middle of the map, and then bottom right orange. So by TPing, he gets the quadrant of the map that has 6 creep camps, leaving Deathnote with only 4, which Deathnote is now starting on. Had he not TP'd, he would have access maybe to 3 camps by the time that Deathnote is finishing the much more valuable other 3 camps, and then the final camps will be contestable. So it can be quite deep thinking to try to make those kind of decisions, but that was a win for Neytpoh no matter how. Having said that, that was a horrible amount of peasants he killed. He fire breathed, attacked peasants, and he lost a dryad and killed only 1. But then again, that wasn't really the point.
Grubby, we see a couple of sloppy mistakes by Deathnote, I feel. In the previous game, he had a Zeppelin in the bottom left corner, standing.
You're talking about the
flying their
breaker,
idol.
aren't you?
Yeah, and now there's a Spellbreaker in the peasant line, not really doing anything. So I don't think it's a massive mistake. It could actually cost him a little bit, though. But I think it's really the nerves, maybe, or just sloppiness altogether. I don't think he's leaving the Spellbreaker there on purpose. But now we see another attempted Zeppelin attack.
Yeah, with 6 bears and 2 heroes. Neytpoh has been doing a great job upgrading. He is currently 1-2, and he's queued up 2-2 and 2-3. So this is great for him. In the meantime, breakers are unupgraded. Mortars have 1-0. So in terms of upgrades, Neytpoh is so far ahead. Yeah. Army size is the same. Now this drop, he looks like he's in a great position.
Wow.
The breaker's gone, by the way, ironically. This is where we wanted him now.
Oh, he takes down the towers too. That's going to be annoying to rebuild, cost extra resources if he even wants to do it. And once again, no units die for the Night Elf, so absolutely no value coming in from the TP of Deathnote. Whereas the Night Elf, Neutron, he got a couple of peasants killed, experience, a little bit of towers destroyed, experience. So slowly but surely, I think he's making his way into a nice little lead. Ancient of Wind coming through, by the way. I think we're going to see some Fairy Dragons added because of all those casters in the ranks of Deathnote. Could be a nice extra damage addition.
Yeah, for sure. Fairy Dragons are fantastic against this army. Then Deathnote will have to make flying machines. He currently doesn't have any food to fit them in. Of course, Neytpoh has about 2 Fairy Dragons worth of slots. He can remove 1 Wisp and make 2 Fairies. So that's a really nice combination. Dark Ranger's almost 5. Panda's 4+. There's still the Greater Mana Pot. He's got double Staff of Preservation. In the meantime, Deathnote He is mounting for Archmage 3. Got a bunch of breakers, no upgrades. Is getting 1-1 soon for his breakers. And he's now got to worry about Neytpoh's third base. And there's a wonderful flank here. If Neytpoh wants to take it, he just goes top with his heroes. The bears by themselves.
Tries to flank the Night Elven army with 2 heroes coming from behind. Right now we see a Blizzard, though, by the way. Didn't go for the Water Elemental Deathnote's Archmage, that is. Went for the AoE damage, which against all those slowed bears works wonders. Doesn't even get a single one, though, because of nice Staff of Preservation usage and needs to use another TP. And he really would have loved to maybe kill a bunch of more units here from the Night Elf, because as Grubby said, third base is now established, is now going to mine as well in a couple of seconds from now. So we have 3 base versus 2 base, an army that's arguably stronger for Neutron as well because of the heroes that make such a big difference. Level 5 Dark Ranger means level 3 Dark Minions. Oh, actually, sorry, my mistake. It's level 3 Cylance. So he's going for disabling the enemy heroes a little bit longer. And the Pandaren level 4 Grubby, that's slowly turning into quite the killing machine. And the items, he hasn't even used neither the Greater Matter nor the Greater Healing nor any of the Wand of the Wind. So if he's really committing to an all-in fight, he's going to have plenty of good helping aids in a fight to fall back on.
Very much so. Those heroes are a force to be reckoned with. The main thing that Deathnote will be trying to leverage is the combination of Blizzard and Thunderclap. Once Dark Ranger gets level 6, that's a very strong ult that Neytpoh will have access to. Charm, instantly steal one of your opponent's units. Knights, Mortars, Breakers, they're mine.
And here goes the Night Elven heroes once again. They're dropping the Dark Minions into the Peasant line, forces another TP. Counter TP measure immediately initiated and launched. No units are being left behind. 1-2. I think Peasants died once again.
Look at this. On the left.
Yeah.
Nice,
and the
nice.
Fairy Dragon side attack, counter attack with a couple of more units. And this expansion is going to go up, only to be destroyed, I feel.
Yeah, already in position is Neytpoh with a TP. He's an 88 food. In the meantime, Deathnote with the cheeky tower on the right, but his food is actually dropping instead of going up. He's only 72 now. Coming in with the mortars. He's coming to scramble to come to the defense of his base. There's more bears coming. Neytpoh pushed to 90 pop. More fairy dragons. And now hippogriffs to counter the flying machines which came out.
Oh, this is such a macro game, Grubby, right now. There's so much action going on with 3 bases versus 3 bases. Towers are being built here. Then we have aggression, skirmish, harassing attacks on the other side of the map. Players are really going to have to play to the max here. Really APM, macro management, micromanagement, everything has to be on top right now. No players can afford to have an opening. At this point, having a TP scroll is always essential. I really think no player can afford to run outside their base without one. Ironically speaking, Deathnote doesn't even have one at the moment. Hopefully that's not going to have bite him in the long run.
3 upgrades for Neytpoh and 98 food. This is the biggest Night Elf army you'll almost ever see. And the fight is breaking out in none too good of a position for Deathnote. He pulls back. The bears come at his army from 2 sides. He keeps pulling back. He wants to be on that hill. First heal scroll gets used. Knights, mortars, everyone running away. And finally, Deathnote is in an okay position. His mortar's still at the front. It's doomed. But the Blizzard clap is beginning.
The Cylance so huge, by the way, in the backline, hitting almost every caster in the army of Deathnote, also interrupting the Blizzard. So well done. The Archmage still running around like a chicken, can't really do anything other than provide auras to his army right now. The Wand of the Wind on the Mountain King, so huge. The priests are out of range, cannot dispel it. The bears are just waltzing in. They definitely smelled some ham over there in the base of Deathnote, and they're trying to end the whole game right here, right now. If Neutron wins this engagement, he's gonna tie out the series. GG gets called from Deathnote, and we have a game number 5, ladies and gentlemen. Another fight night, you tell me? Another great series, I tell you.
100 food he had at the end of the fight. He maxed out. He reached his highest point as Deathnote reached his lowest point. And that is a tough situation to go up against. Losing your pre-final game like that is a roughie. I mean, I think it's the most morally crushing situation. Early game was fine, but he just kept losing in every engagement. Comebacks were possible, but they were not engineered. And Neytpoh outplayed him pretty much at every phase in the game, which is why his victory was so large.
This fight, this game, almost reminded me of the first game of Neutron against Spiral, when from start to finish, he was in control. He knew exactly where his opponent was going for. You could see that, as Grubby so splendidly pointed out during the game, that he was forcing base attacks to force a TP just when he didn't want to TP, Deathnote that is, because he gave up so much momentum, he gave up so much creeping opportunities in the process. So I think from start to finish, Neutron just showing exactly how you can sometimes strangle your opponent slowly but surely to death by always knowing what your plans are and what their plans are. So, strong neutral hero play once again, by the way. I really like this Dark Ranger. I wasn't really sure when I saw it at first, but those Dark Minions, the Cylance especially in that last fight when it hit almost the entire human army, so impactful.
The level 3 Cylance is huge. And if you get every priest, they cannot save each other to dispel. So it's actually forcing human players to become better than they are, which is wonderful. Anytime you force humans to be better than they are, that's great, right? In the real world. But in this case, he isn't there yet. All his priests are clustered. This is their natural formation. And against Dark Ranger, and I'm not going to say it's easy, but you got to split them to all corners of the wind so that if one doesn't get silenced, he can wake up the others. He can dispel and remove it. When you misplay it, that's a 20-second ginormous area silence. All your heroes shut down, your casters shut down, and you basically can't win the fight.
Yeah, very nice. And this series is already promising and shaping up to be one of the coolest ones we've had so far. We almost say that every episode of Fight Night, don't we, Grubby? But the players just keep giving us these nuggets. They keep giving us these awesome games. And what makes today a little bit more unique to me personally is the fact that we get to see so many cool neutral hero strats. Neutron, he told us that he was going to play a little bit differently. And so far, he kept his word. He definitely didn't disappoint. We saw a Pit Lord, we saw Pandaren, now we saw a Dark Ranger. And it's just so nice to see how players are shaking things up a little bit.
It's going to be Altar first this time. So shaking it up again. Oh, how unusual. Altar first building, Kendric.
Very true. And also, guys, keep in mind that if you're tuning in late and you missed some of the earlier games, of course, you can always catch on the VODs, either here on Twitch or on the YouTube channel later on. I'm pretty sure one of our lovely mods is going to link you there. The VOD usually goes up after a couple of days from now, so make sure to subscribe there. Feel also free to follow us on Twitch, of course. Grubby and I are having an absolute blast casting these games for you guys, and we're looking forward to so many more cozy episodes with you guys in the chat.
Amen, Kendrick. Quick score check. You have it at 2-2?
Yeah, I'm going to have it here as well. There we go.
Just 2-2. Trying to help. I can't see what he sees.
Thank you. I had it on the main screen, but now we have it in-game as well. So
very good, very good. All right, so what is it going to be? I think it might be Keeper of the Grove here.
You know what? I had that gut feeling too. It's actually cool that they pick it, because the Keeper, with all the hype around the Demon Hunter and the Warden right now, depending on the map and where they face the humans, let's not forget that the Keeper is still a perfectly viable hero in situations like these, you know?
Yeah, Keeper does good harass on a map like this, where the expansion is rather difficult. You can show up with a Keeper level 2 and do some Treant, some Entangle, kill some peasants. You transition to either Alchemist second, which I don't think is very strong anymore, or Panda second, which is really quite good. And it still becomes a difficult game usually. Like, Keeper is not what he used to be. But there's also the option to do something extremely cheeky, double Insta-4 Mass Huntress. This is a great map for it because of the healing fountain. It's a possibility, just putting it out there, but we don't know what Master Neytpoh is actually going to be wanting to do. We'll see.
Yeah, and you mentioned a good point there, Grubby. You know, with the double Ancient of War Huntress Mass, a lot of humans have become much more courageous than they were a couple of months before. And sometimes we see the good old Archmage into Fast Expend directly, you know, good old traditional style almost. So this can actually be the one and hardest hitting counter if Night Elves wants to go that route.
That's true. It's like you said, humans have been growing more confident and cocky with how greedy they get. Now, items play a big role. It's actually kind of a blessing in disguise for Neytpoh that he got the ring. It's going to keep his Keeper safer against Archmage, who got Claws of Attack. That's kind of cool. I think Keeper would love to get Circlet normally, more mana for his spells, and certainly Ring is not the best, but had he not had Ring, that Archmage is going to slay the Keeper in terms of health. Claws is a fantastic item to get early game, especially when doing a fast expand and trying to protect it. And that's what's happening. Militia coming in, Deathnote going for it. Wisp sees it. May aim for detonate on the water elemental. No, he doesn't. And Keeper does not harass. He has not placed himself to harass. He's going to make this hard expansion really easy for Deathnote, creeping his own camp instantly and going for the counter expansion. Interesting decision, Kendric.
Yeah. Going for the passive route and trying to balance things out economically, maybe, if he wants to drop a counter expansion. Using a lot of resources here, by the way. Also entangling the Null Overseer to isolate him from the ranged Nulls, Wardens, and Assassins a little bit, who are very dangerous against the Treants, actually, because they dispel them with a Purge, just like they did so here. Deathnote's Footman, by the way, scouts exactly what's going on. So now he knows that he's perfectly safe with his own expansion. He was creeping faster thanks to the militias there, and is immediately building up some defenses there as well with the tower. Tech-wise, we see Neutron already 50% through. Humans traditionally require a little bit of extra time because of their lumber issues.
Okay, this is interesting. First of all, Neytpoh has some of the worst item luck he could have this game. Cloak of Shadows, Pity of Vitality is not what he wants. You don't get a Keeper and say, let's run this one.
Fatality.
Yeah,
it's quite
let's
fatal,
run this one into a train. He'll survive now. No, that's not the type of hero he is. Is that Entangle level 2? Yeah.
Yeah, Entangle level 2 coming through, uses it on the Water Elemental immediately to get a big chunk of experience. Can Deathnote actually deny it? Yes, he did. Very nicely done. That is the biggest thing that he could do in this messy situation. Also kills an Archer on top of things. The icing on the cake. Could have potentially tried to surround the Keeper there too, but fighting in the Night Elf base at this point is a little bit risky. If he gets another Archer for his efforts, that's so huge. The Footman now almost reigning supreme without any competition here. The Moon Juice completely empty because it was used before. The Keeper dry on mana. This might be a more dangerous attack by Deathnote than he had the Neutron wanted it to be.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I don't think it went through. No.
He didn't deny?
No. I think the Keeper got the XP.
Oh, yeah. And the Keeper did get quite high level. He actually did a single detonate during the creeping of the expansion. He got 2 water elementals with it. So that was 84 experience. That's quite a lot. And he's now going for the Entangle. So every Entangle is a dead Footman, yes. But there will be more and more. And even though it looks like Neytpoh's winning because he's killing units, he doesn't have the expansion. His Moonwalls are empty. His Wisps are being relentlessly persecuted. And where's the second hero?
No second hero in sight, indeed. And what could we see? You know, we see sometimes Demon Hunter coming in there as well if he wants to play it safely. But neutral hero could also be very handy. Maybe a Naga, maybe a Pandaren.
Wisp died to a Footman. He wanted that Wisp to hire the tavern, but now it died. So I don't know why I'm talking with an Indian accent. He wanted that Wisp. He wanted that Wisp to hire a tavern hero. He didn't. He plopped down an Ancient of Wonders. Hunter's Hole is done, but he's not using it. Where's the Tinker? Where's the Alchemist? Where's the Panda? Naga, if he's desperate, I don't care. But he's got nothing. It's solo Keeper, and he's treading water. Alchemist comes out.
These intelligence heroes, Grubby, they don't want to share XP, you know? It's such a scrappy, bloody game at this point. Wisps are being hunted as well. The Moonwells, they are working double time, but they just can't, refill that water fast enough. There's Footmen dying. There's Water Elementals dying as well, though. He's probably going to seek to detonate the Wisp here near the creeps, or actually runs safely past them. Finally, we have an Alchemist in the mix for Neutron. Finally, we have additional hitting power onto those human units. And the shop might actually fall there as well. He sells an item very quickly. I think it was the Cloak of Shadows. And now he tries, with the last breath here, really, to get a Clarity Potion and keep the harassment going. Entangle after Entangle is coming through. And slowly but surely, this Keeper is keeping the Footmen at bay.
But where's this going? What's the big deal? The tier 2 is halfway done for Deathnote. He's got double racks, a blacksmith, double arcane tower in his expansion, one in his main now upgrading. There are no lores. He's just started his first lore in the standard deviation spot, I want to say, middle right. Deathnote should even know about that. That's where Night Elves always built their lores on this map when their main is being... Oh my god, he cancelled his second lore. What?
Yeah, that must have been a misclick.
He remembered he had one on the mid left already.
Oh, he could. Oh, he would have had triple of Ancient of Lore. Oh my goodness, it looked like a mistake, but he still lost a little bit of resources. No,
his mind is exactly where mine was. He's like, oh, I need.
I didn't see it either.
So that's just how confused he is, and how confused I was. And we've got the full vision, Kendric.
All right, so let's look at Deathnote's base here. He's currently working on some rifle upgrades. The rifle are coming in from 2 barracks, Grubby. That is definitely going to be a strong time tier 2 attack, maybe with a second hero. Could be a neutral one, could be a Mountain King. And that's going to be some hefty reinforcements against the Dryads that are slowly but surely coming on. Now we see the Archmage in trouble. Took an Entangle to the face. No more mana on the Keeper, so he's safe for now. The poison, the toxin is still kicking in. The Acid Bomb. Does he have another one? Escapes the Dark Slow as well.
It's not enough. There's a Ring of Regeneration.
Yeah.
Not the best item for Archmage usually, but when you have it, you can play like you have it. It's very useful to keep him alive from that damage.
Oh
One Wisp goes down, second Wisp goes down. These are 2 of many. Rifles are coming in. Deathnote, he's got this.
Is he going to have it? Level 4 is so close there as well. Now some pressure on the TP needs to be pushed immediately as well for Deathnote, and that finally gives some breathing room to the pressured Neutron Night Elf base. And you said it, Grubby. Deathnote is looking strong. He's pumping out those rifles like there was no tomorrow. Upgrades. We have 1-0 right now. Could go for a second one soon. Arcane Phantom being pushed out as well now. We see only Dryads for Neutron right now. No bears in sight. Look at the resources. He has no second base. He's 1 base only. And so many Wisps were killed over and over again.
It's okay, but you gotta be there when he expands. Like, you take level 1.9 from the first camp. Deathnote is predictable. He's gonna expand to get 1.9, and then you let your Treants and Archer creep the turtle at the mid-top. You get level 2 as you arrive with 200 mana, and you try to kill some peasants. You can't let human free expand like this.
Exactly. And now we see, of course, that Deathnote knows exactly where Neutron is. He calls the GG, realizing that he tried to bite off more than he could chew. And for the first time in 3 weeks, Grubby, we have a new champion sitting on the throne. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Long live our new king. Deathnote had a name in this book, and it was Bob, it was Neutron, it was Neytpoh, and he takes the win. And that is our second Fight Night human champion. Didn't Effect win one?
Effect was the first one. Effect, first of his name, now being followed by King Deathnote the second.
So actually an extremely entertaining series. You've been watching this chat at home. You know this. We're just rehashing what we already know. That was a fantastic series. Really fun. Great variety. Great play by both players. Such a cool fight night. Another 3-2, and Deathnote will stop the 3-times champion Neytpoh in his tracks. We've got a human champion.
And Neutron, he was so keen. He was so focused on building up this legacy, you know, and building up that dynasty, like he said in the previous interviews. He really didn't want to lose this title. So despite the games that we saw today with a lot of neutral openings, he was still very focused and serious about this. And although the last game didn't really seem so strong, I don't think it was because of the path that he chose, the building order or the first hero choice that he chose. It was more of his passive playstyle. As Grubby said, you can't just let humans get away with 2-base economy. You need to build up pressure. Maybe double AOW and Huntresses would have been the good call. Just do something to keep Deathnote at least in check and make this expansion, if it goes up, as expensive as possible.
Exactly. That's a long map, so you got to start traveling early. It's like trying to beat the traffic jam when you go on vacation when all the schools are out and they got their vacation. You got to start early. You can't just complain, well, I didn't know anyone else was going on vacation. And that's kind of the problem there. He tried to play like a human. He's like, yeah, I'll also go intelligence, summoner, hero, creep my expansion. But that's not what his race excels at. When your race is Moonwells, you're supposed to get your units hurt by getting value, and then you heal for free. There's also a healing fountain to heal for free. Instead, he tried to play like Deathnote, and I'm sure he finds this his own weakest game of the series as well. I agree with you, Kendric. I don't think it's because he took Keeper or because Keeper doesn't work anymore. That's the decision he made in the end. It's how he played it out. But most of all, Deathnote played an extremely solid game with a furious counter assault after getting, I think, kind of a pretty surprise for him to get that expansion for free. But he played it out to a T afterwards, and he got the deserved victory.
And it must feel so good for Deathnote, not just because he beat his Russian rival Neutron and he becomes the new champion, but also because he snatched the crown from Neutron just when the bounty was so juicy, so rewarding to take, because you guys today have been killing it. Unlike any other Fight Night episode I think we've had so far, we have a full bounty. The pot is completely filled up till the upper edges. It's shiny, it's golden, and we would like to thank you so much for your attention today, for all your support and dedicated support for the upcoming Fight Nights, hopefully to come. That was it, guys. We only have one best of 5 for you today, but boy, did we have a long series or what. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks when we find out who's going to be the new challenger for our new king on the throne, Deathnote. The final words, of course, as always, go to Grubby, and then we're going to close the show.
That was a great Fight Night. Keep in mind that both of these players stream. Warcraft 3 is such a fun game to watch. And you can watch Deathnote stream on twitch.tv/follow Deathnote. Neytpoh, he did a great show as well. And he's our 3-times champion of the Hall of Fame by now. He streams as well, twitch.tv/Neytpoh.
Yeah.
The final words, and I had a great time with you, Kendric. Great job today. We'll see each other in 2 weeks from now.
As always, likewise.
Maybe you pop in earlier sometime to release who is going to be Deathnote's future challenger.
Yeah.
But the final words here for Deathnote, I asked him, does he have any words for Twitch chat as we bow out and we go to say goodnight to him? And he says, Neytpoh said before that it's going to be easy for him. He then had a sad smiley, a sad emoticon. But then, I don't know what he means by that, but I guess it's like a humble way of saying. And then he said, Ring of Regeneration, by the way, is my favorite item for Archmage when I play expansion. And we can see why. He was able to really push the health of the Archmage as a resource, make himself attractive to hit, and then just heal up. And it's really a bait for opponents to spend mana on it. The Entangle, Keeper got distracted even more, and Archmage survived. So super cool. Thanks, everyone, for watching Fight Night. This was Kendric Swish and your boy Grubby. Thanks for watching Fight Night. Thanks for all the support. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Peace.
See ya.